What's going on, guys? This is the LEAFS Convo podcast for Vanguard Northeast Realty in Scarborough, vanguardne.ca. I'm Norman James in London, Ontario, Canada. Mike Augello joins me. He's in Cheektowaga, New York, USA. We are talking post styles on Game 2 between the Leafs and Bruins. It was fugly. Boston, a 4-1 winner, evening up this series at 1 win apiece. Game 3 in Toronto on Monday evening. Mr. Augello, are you okay?
Good morning, Norman. No, I'm fine. I had some interactions with some fans on Twitter last night after the game, and I said, well, you shouldn't be surprised because this is what we mostly all expected. Now, what we didn't know is how the Leafs would react to what was the normal reaction to Game 1 by the Bruins, which was to come out. They loaded up with David Backes in the lineup. He led them with 7 hits last night. They were going to come out with energy. They were going to try to be physical, and the response of the Leafs was what we didn't know. But now we do, and it was putrid. It was terrible. It was completely inadequate for what they needed. I think the Bruins got on their defense. They made them cough up the puck. The pairing of Muzzin and Zaitsev, which was lauded for their game in Game 1, was -3. Both of them were -3 last night and on the ice and responsible for the first 2 goals. And then it became, to use one of your favorite phrases, a shit show.
Mm-hmm. Mike, you don't sound like a supportive soccer mom at all.
No, the thing is, being a Leaf fan for as long as I am, and now being, a reporter, I've seen this act before. And when you see it one too many times, you just sort of get blasé about it. It's like, honestly, it's like you need to see something different to be surprised. I'm not surprised by this. Does this mean that they can't win the series? No, but this response was completely inadequate, and we expected it based on the team that was put together and what they had shown during the regular season. Now we can hope that they get back to what they did in Game 1, but I don't know if Boston's going to allow them to do that, so we'll see.
This is the Leafs Combo for Vanguard Northeast Realty in Scarborough, vanguardne.ca. The Leafs weren't preemptive, Mike, when they knew what was coming at them. It's hard to attack when you are being attacked. You have to batten down the hatches and then fire back. They certainly did react later in the game, but things got out of hand, and we can attribute a lot of the mayhem to the lack of officiating. It was piss poor. Let me go over some of the particulars. The Bruins outshot the Leafs 41-31. Leafs 55% on the draws. Toronto 0 for 3 on the power play. That power play, it was once mighty. It is now dormant, and I don't see any signs of it returning to the fore, and that does not bode well for the Maple Leafs. 21 penalty minutes, 8 for the Bruins. That is a gross injustice. And I'm not one to complain about the officials, but that officiating crew from last night should be fired, all of them. And again, I'm never one to complain about the officials. That was just an absolute shit show. And what they let Jake Debrusk get away with, and the Bruins in general, precipitated a lot of the madness that came. And people will point the finger at number 43, but I want to give Kadri a huge kiss, to be honest with you. The Bruins out hit the Leafs 44-39. The Leafs 9 blocks to 8 blocks, and obviously the Leafs are one of the best teams at giving the puck away. 14 giveaways. In the case of William Nylander, he got a primary assist on that Bruins goal. Wow.
Let's knock these off one at a time. I'll try to take a breath in between them. The power play, when Mike Babcock said early in the year, the power play is our intimidation, or the power play is our, sandpaper.
Nope.
Yeah, well, it needs to work to be that, because you needed to make the Bruins pay for being aggressive, and we know that this team was given the least amount of power plays in the league this year because, simply put, I don't think the players really want to pay the price to go in the danger areas to get penalties, to draw penalties. So that is and I understand that they have skilled players. They don't have guys who Kadri used to, but I think he's been sort of weaned off of that as well because of the reputation he had as being a diver. But they just don't draw a ton of penalties. So when they get 3, they need to respond, and the power play I thought was completely in it. Frederik Andersen was probably the only guy, if I was going to give a teacher's grade out there, that I would give an A. I don't think he was responsible for any of the 4 goals. He was under siege. He made a couple unbelievable saves. So if you're looking for
Mike, the problem for the Maple Leafs if they lose this series will not be the goaltender. So
right.
It's unfortunate that we're almost disregarding him because he is just so damn good and so damn steady. That cat is ready to win a Stanley Cup. Are the dudes in front of him ready to support him in kind? I don't think so. I didn't see it in game 2, but again, things can change. Continue.
Now, and you talked about the referees, and believe me, I mean, there was enough commentary out there. The thing is, and this is something I've learned from watching playoff hockey since I was 4 years old, the retaliator always gets called, not the initiator. And the problem is the Leafs, with very rare circumstance, never initiate. They're always the ones who retaliate. Now, the one time that they did initiate last night was the Jake Muzzin hit on Torrey Krug. He didn't get called. It was a clean call. It was a great hit.
Great hit.
But and I don't think this was the aim of Muzzin, but it knocked Krug out of the game. And if you look, the one positive I think the Leafs take out of this in terms of a war of attrition, the Bruins lost Krug. He didn't come back. He's had I think he had a concussion earlier in the year. He may be out for a couple games, and he's the quarterback of their power play. They also lost Connor Clifton, another defenseman. They were down to 4 at the end of the night. I don't know if Clifton came back, but they are had 2 injuries on the blue line, and that could be a key for this team getting back in the series.
I wonder what the softies who watch this right now are thinking. Oh, there's no place for that in the game. No one cares what you think. The guys on the ice don't care what you think. If you think there's no place for it in the game, go watch field hockey. This is a different set of circumstances now, and you're going to cringe. You're going to hide. You're going to have to escape to your safe place. But these guys don't care what you think. And that's why guys like Nazem Kadri are out there running around like madmen, foolishly so to an extent, because what else are they supposed to do? Like, honestly, this concept that, hey, just keep playing our game, skill and kindness will win in the end. That's not going to happen. The Bruins aren't having any of it. So what are the Maple Leafs going to do to combat this and overcome it? The toughness, the power play, that's not working. I don't know if you guys saw the Sean Avery Instagram post. We have it on the YouTube channel. Check it out. Sean Avery, obviously a Leaf fan now. It makes sense because he likes the social media attention, and why not hitch your wagon to hockey's biggest fan base and their hopes and dreams of winning a Stanley Cup? Sean Avery unloads on Jake Debrusk. He has some advice for Austin Matthews. Didn't like the refs much either. Let us know what you think about it in the comments section.
Looking at William Nylander, and a lot of people were skeptics coming into this series, and the snowflakes were appeased by the goal in game 1. I think Kelly Hrudey spoke for a lot of critics out there looking at what Nylander did yesterday. Not only the faux pas on the goal that made it 3-0, but generally, I mean, he was avoiding danger areas. He was, not being able to handle the easiest passes. He had a horrific game, and Hrudey called him awful, and I wholeheartedly agree. The problem is, and with what we're going to talk about probably next, his responsibilities are going to grow in games 3 through 7, probably because he's going to have to move to the middle, a place where Mike Babcock has never liked him playing, but it's going to be necessitated because of what have happened later in the game.
What Hrudey said about Nylander, him being awful, was pretty awful. But you know what? The passive-aggressive Nylander fans out there, the Nylanderites as I call them, they're pretty awful too, the stuff they say. And they were pretty awful at the beginning of the season, disparaging Mitch Marner to build up William Nylander as, the greatest Swede in the history of the NHL. There's a lot of awfulness going around right now. I don't think Kelly Hrudey should have called William Nylander awful. Hey, Nylander got, it was a secondary assist on Nazem Kadri's goal, but he did contribute, and there are a lot of other guys who didn't cough up the puck but weren't contributing either. The one thing I disagree with on Kelly Hrudey, and there's a lot of stuff, and Nick Kyprios too, talking about how Nazem Kadri oversold the Jake Debrusk hit. I know they're friends with Louis Debrusk. They're friends with the kid's dad, and they don't want to say anything untoward about Debrusk. But go and watch that Sean Avery Instagram post that we put on the YouTube channel. Sean Avery nails it on Debrusk. I hope this guy is public enemy number one in Game 3. Because, again, fans, if you hope this is going to be the ice capades, it's not going to be. Either buckle up and get ready for the nastiness coming ahead, or, I don't know, just tune out.
Who's going to do anything about it? And because honestly, going into the series, the only sandpaper that you could really say was on the Leafs roster, other than guys like Muzzin, and defensemen really can't take those liberties because there's only 6 of them, and they need to show a bit of self-control. The only ones that you could say would go out there and do anything would be Zach Hyman and Nazem Kadri.
And they were doing that, Mike. They were doing their best to do that last night. So everybody else has to contribute with, I don't know, offense, with scoring chances, with being agitators, putting the biscuit in the basket on the power play.
I'll deviate here from – I will take on the Leafs 2 or 3 Jake Debrusks, because he brought it when his team needed it.
He's a hero when he's on your team. He's an asshole when he's not, Mike. We understand that. That's what's going on right now. This is an absolute battle. This is not a skill showcase. And for as many fans who get on us because they think we're negative or we're Neanderthals, I don't know. What else is it? What else is it right now, guys? The Bruins don't want to have a shootout with the Maple Leafs. What they want to do is have a knock them down, drag them out. And they are the teams that dictate the pace. So the Maple Leafs are just going to have to go along with it and beat them at their own game. They have no other choice, because what we've seen is the Leafs can't take their game to Boston. And I'll tell you what, after Game 2, if you think things are just going to regress and go back to an easy peasy back and forth in a lot of ways like Game 1, you're kidding yourselves. Yeah. The Leafs are going to have to roll up their sleeves, go back to the drawing board, and try to get this thing done.
The Nazem Kadri incident, I think, was, very foolish on his part, because you could see there was a general goading of Kadri throughout the game. Debrusk did it in the first period. I don't know if the knee on knee was purposeful, but it acted as an accelerant to Kadri's emotions. And then when Patrick Marleau was knocked into the turnbuckle in the third period, Kadri decided he was going to exact a bit of revenge on Debrusk. And revenge is one thing, but going head hunting with your stick is another. And they've just given him, they just given the NHL Department of Player Safety the right avenue here to throw the book at Kadri. He's a repeat offender. He was suspended for 3 games last year. He's probably going to be suspended, even though I don't think it was a damaging hit. It's him. And he's done it before, so he's probably going to get suspended for the rest of the series at least. They're talking about multiple, like double figures in games. I think that would be overzealous.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Don't you see why Nazem Kadri's running around out there?
Sure, but that does.
He's frustrated.
But that doesn't.
I know. But what are you going to do? It's human emotion. That's instinct.
Yeah. Well, but the problem is you have to curb that instinct, and I also think, and I made this point last night after the game. When you have only 2 guys who are responsible for that, Hyman and Kadri, then it's incumbent upon them, if Boston is pushing down, to respond. So you're putting a guy with no impulse control, and Nazem Kadri, who doesn't have the judgment to not take a stupid penalty or get suspended, and he's one of the 2 guys who has to physically respond. That's dumb. That's a miscalculation, not only on Mike Babcock, but on Kyle Dubas. And they now you probably have either Patrick Marleau or William Nylander playing center. And if they had any option other than Freddie Gauthier after his stupid retaliatory penalty in the second period to put at 4th line center, they would, but they don't. So he'll be in the lineup in Game 3.
Hey, Gauthier showed a pulse. I'd love to see that big frame just laying people out. Again, I know people want to play ringette and roller hockey, the skills competition. It'd be great. And if that's what it was, I'd be all for it. But that's not what it is. It's the reality of the situation. You're rolling through a tough neighborhood now. What are you going to do? Keep the windows down and just pretend that all is fine and that you might not get jumped or carjacked? No, you roll the windows up and you get defensive. That's the way the Maple Leafs have to play. If you're going to go through Boston, this is what you're going to get. And if you're not good enough and you're not strong enough, and you don't have enough confidence in your game to dictate the flow of the play, and you're not fast enough and offensively gifted enough just to beat the crap out of these other guys through your power play and your skill, then you're going to have to go down to their level and beat them their way. and then move on to the second round. Where we are right now, this is a frustrating experience. Nazem Kadri, the only guy who had any heart out there last night, is going to lose his opportunity to play probably for the rest of this series. Made a bonehead move, overreacted. But what else was he supposed to do? It seems like an injustice right now. But you know what? Maybe the Leafs can turn this thing around. Mike, last word to you.
Well, there are going to be lineup adjustments with Kadri probably being suspended, and Mike Babcock will have a conference call at noon today, and I'm assuming the NHL will announce whatever suspension there is at some time today or early Monday morning. That likely means Tyler Ennis in the lineup, which I don't think is a bad thing. He's a veteran guy. He's played in the playoffs before, so I think that'll be a good add. But you're going to have to see more of Tavares, which isn't a bad thing. More of Austin Matthews, who's I think been a no-show in the first two games, and William Nylander or Patrick Marleau step up the middle. It's going to be a very tough game 3, but we'll talk about that probably tomorrow in a pre-show.
Will we get suspended, Mike?
As long as it's with pay, that'd be fine with me.
Exactly. Michael, you do a great job. Get some rest. Game 3 tomorrow. Who knows what's coming? But I'll tell you what, I can't wait to find out. Take care.
Thanks, Norman.
We would like to thank Vanguard Northeast Realty in Scarborough, title sponsor of the Leafs Convo, demonstrating passion for the industry and a superior level of excellence in selling, leasing, and marketing your property. Vanguard Northeast Realty.